To Tuesday morning and another episode of Cloud Talk Live. All right, well, everyone, I want to welcome you to another episode of Cloud Talk Live. Everyone, this is it's going to be a great one, and I've got a whole host of people, a panel of people who are going to be part of our conversation today, and I'm excited. So, first thing, you have a job to do, and that is to introduce yourself. It's super easy. Just type your name in the comments down below. Tell me who you are. Tell me where you are. You know the routine. We've been doing these things for almost a year now. Can you believe that? In July, it will be a year. We've done a ton of them. And you can always get a hold of us. If you got any ideas for how we're doing? You got some thoughts about a new program? You got a guest idea? Maybe you want to be on the program. Maybe you have an issue with something that we've said here and think that maybe technically we're a little off balance. Well, I'd love to hear from you. Send a note over to solve@rackspace.com. Simple email. I know it's very 1990s of us, but it's email for now. Easiest way to find us. Send an email over to solve@rackspace.com. Guys, Solve is Rackspace's thought leadership program. That's where we bring nothing but information and good ideas to the rest of the world. Now, there's all sorts of information that you can find if you head over to rackspace.com/solve. Articles, research reports. We've got an incredible new bit of research that's available out there, but also the podcast. You can find information out there about it. So Josh Pruitt is the most recent person who's been on. We've got a new one coming out this week with Keith Lawrence, who is CTO over at App Dynamics. I was on stage with him a couple of weeks ago at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. No, we were not playing music. We were talking about tech. But he had a really great presentation. So we're bringing that to the podcast. So if you go subscribe, you'll be sure to get that. As soon as it drops and is available to you. Well, folks, you know that we have been going through our summer road trip. And in the summer road trip, we have been going around to different parts of the world and interviewing and having conversations with hey, Daniel commented in. Come on, Daniel. Everybody else, introduce yourselves. So and as part of the summer road trip, we're talking to IT and tech professionals all around the world and learning about what's happening in tech in their regions. Now, we're taking a short break from that because we're going to talk a little bit today. Well, we're going to talk a lot of it today about a resource that Rackspace makes available to all of its employees. Now, the umbrella term here that we call it is a Racker Resource Group. We, of course, turn it into an acronym. So RRGs, which is hard to say. I may just say resource groups. But our resource groups are these resources that are intended to help like communities to come together, to be a benefit, to be a resource to each of our Rackers. And they come in all shapes and flavors here at Rackspace. And I'm going to tell you a list of some of them. So here's one. It's called EAST, and that is Elevating Asian Strengths and Talents. And that's, of course, a group meant to help bring together Asians here at Rackspace. There's Lavender, supporting mental wellness and physical abilities. Power, professional organization for women, empowerment at Rackspace. Rack Parents, obviously, I think you can figure that bit out. Alejandro, welcome. Rainy Mexico, send some north to us, please. Rack Vet, leveraging the talents of our military veterans. Remoters, anybody who's working remote like me today. Rise, lift Black, African, and African American Rackers. Viva, celebrating and promoting our Latinx cultures. And then, of course, there is the group that I have brought and invited to be a part of today's conversation. As you know, it's June. And in June, we are celebrating Pride Month. It's seen all around the world. And we do have a Racker resource group for our LGBTQ plus and intended to educate Rackers, bring them together, and help build allies for that. So I have invited members of that group to be a part of this today. And when I say I invited, it means actually they came knocking on my door saying, hey, we would love to be able to come and share a little bit about our group and on the program. And I said, well, I think that's a fantastic idea. So before we bring them on, I want to say good morning to Mitch. Hey, Connecticut Racker. Good to see you, Mitch Lesky. And Jessica's here. Glad Jessica's here. We have Susan Price. I've known Susan for longer than either of us want to admit, back when I worked at USAA. So with that, everybody, keep introducing yourselves. But Daniel, let's bring the panel up and start our conversation. So excited! John's here. We've got Stephen here. We have Amanda, and of course, Kristen's here as well. So everyone, thank you for coming and being a part of the program today. And let's start by learning a little bit more about each of you. And I'm going to go in order of how I see you. Now I know we got Benjamin and Daniel shifting things in the back, so I'm going to try to keep everyone straight. But Amanda, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do for us here.
Morning, Jeff. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
I work in our global content marketing department, and I am almost a 5-year racker, hoping to get my flag in December. So yeah, happy to be here today. I joined the board of Together with Pride recently, and I'm excited to be here to talk to you today.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. And Amanda and I get to spend a lot of time together with the partnership that we have in doing all things solve and content here. Krishna, why don't you introduce yourself live from Rackspace?
Hi, I'm Krishna Dooley, and I have been with Rackspace for almost 4 years. I just took on the role as the Global Sustainability Manager after leaving the travel and expense team. And I am here in San Antonio.
You can't leave the travel and expense team. I got a whopper coming in tomorrow.
Oh, well, it's a good thing there's a whole team to help you with that.
Oh, and I need all the help I can get. Krishna, we got to ask, got the tiara on. Is that indicating something special?
Today is my birthday. I wear one every year on my birthday.
Wonderful. Well, happy birthday. Everybody, say happy birthday to Krishna in the chat. That'd be awesome. John Leavenworth, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me on. I'm this month, actually in July, I'll be a 2-year racker. I work in professional services doing project management, particular for the Microsoft team under Donna Snyder-Thomas. And I can't say enough about how helpful various resource groups are, but I'll save those comments for coming up later. I'm based in Dallas, Texas, and work out of my home. I have never been down to the castle, but I look forward to getting down there someday.
We need to have you come down. It's a great place to be. And then last and certainly not least is Stephen. Stephen, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us where in the world you are?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Stephen D'Souza Wilson. In the day job with Rackspace, I'm a migration consultant working in the professional services team. I'm also a member of the Together with Pride steering group. I'm actually based in London, just outside of London in the UK. So I'm very happy to be here.
I'm glad that you are here. And Stephen, why don't we leave you with the microphone for a second? Let's talk about these resource groups, but specifically Together with Pride. Tell us a little bit about the organization. How many people are a part of it? How's it organized? What does the steering team do? Just kind of fill us in a little bit on that.
So we have a steering group. If I recall correctly, there's 7 of us currently, split across the world. So based primarily out of the USA, but then we do have a couple of resources in Mexico and a couple also based over here in the UK as well. The idea of Together with Pride is to try and represent the LGBT rackers and ensure that there's a safe space where we can talk openly and inform the rest of Rackspace about what actually being LGBT is about and some of the concerns or queries that people may have in the particular area.
Got it. And how long have you been a part of the group?
So the original group based in the UK was called Together.
Okay.
We relaunched that about a month after I joined Rackspace, so just prior to 3 years ago. And then just around 12 months ago, we actually decided to join the 2 groups, making it into a global organization. Hence, Together with Pride were formed, joining up with the original Pride based in the US.
That's great. I love the unity between the groups, and you guys have been working hard also to help make sure that there's representation across all of the geographies as well. Of course, Rackspace as a global company it serves all over, and so where are some of the other geographies where you guys are helping to bring groups together?
So we do have a number of members who are based out of India. And so they are often interacting with us through our Teams channels. But then the vision is to try and get it spread across the entire world and to ideally try and get steering group representatives on all of the sites so that everybody has got somebody local. who is interacting and is actually putting on events and functionality for the local Rackers.
Yeah. About how many members do we have here at Rackspace that are part of Together with Pride?
I think it's currently around 300 members, something
Nice.
on that on the mailing list.
Very good. Very good. So Amanda, you are new to the steering committee and helping with the board. What drew you in?
That's a great question. I think I really wanted to get involved with the RRG because I really felt like I wanted to be an ally, and I actually wanted to be present and start taking part in the conversation and listening and learning and finding out how I can support the group in any way, any form or fashion, whether it's volunteering my time, whether it's being vocal, whether it's, like I say, showing up and listening and learning. I think it's important if you have friends and families in the community to get involved.
Yeah.
And I think that, I love that all of our RRGs, especially Together with Pride, welcome anyone, right? It's allies alike. You can just come and be a part and listen and take part in the conversation and contribute. It's very welcoming. And especially during these times when we're all so kind of spread out, this is such an amazing opportunity where we can kind of join together just for that moment in time during work and have like a nice conversation and listen and hear each other.
That's awesome. So, John, we've talked a little bit, and especially as we were, chatting before we got started about groups like this, and you mentioned how you hadn't really even been in a company where something like this has existed.
I've worked with some pretty major companies in the past, but I've never known of resource groups like this where people can join into them and interact with each other, get the support they need. And I find that it's been really, really helpful for me as a project manager and as a people manager to realize in order to get work done and be effective, you have to meet your employees where they are. Right. And not necessarily just to get all the productivity out of them that you can, but to be a decent human being, understand a little bit more about them and what they need and what they're going through, and then give them options to help get the resources they need in order to overcome a problem or just generally enrich their life and make it better and happier.
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting point. Now, one of the things that I really like about the group, in fact, all of them really help reflect this. Amanda, you first of all called it out just a moment ago, and that is that the groups tend to be extraordinarily welcoming, whether somebody identifies in this case directly inside of the LGBTQ community, or even the others. I mean, I spend more time helping the Power Group, the women's group at Rackspace. They do an amazing thing each year that's about to start again. They call mentor circles, and that is just they bring leaders around a group of about 10 to 14 or so Rackers in varying geographies and varying strata inside of the company, and through a very structured but yet loosely coupled conversations over the fall. And I love the fact that they do that. And as we talked before, Krishna, one of the things you had said, it just enables you to bring, especially in this group, and the resource groups, to bring your whole self to work. Now, as I look at you on the screen, I'm thinking this is not a challenge that you individually necessarily have an issue with. I mean, coming in with your TR into the office now. Admittedly, the office doesn't have a lot of people in it these days, but in the day that it did, in you came. Tell me how this has helped you and some the folks that you know inside of the group.
So for me, it's been, I've never really come out about myself. It's one of those things that I'm not ashamed or anything. I just don't speak of it until, it just happens to come up or the situation is appropriate. And so it's nice to have a group where I can be open and I can speak with others who understand where I'm at, or, maybe are questioning where they're at. Additionally, outside of the group, it has helped me to guide my own children who are coming up, and my oldest is trans now, and so it has helped me to guide them with their transition and identifying who they are, and on my part, being able to understand their process and where they're going.
That's great. John, you had mentioned before also in your comments about how the resource groups really just not only helping you as an individual, but to the folks that report to you. Maybe you can talk about specifically how these are helping you to lead others inside of Rackspace.
Certainly. when you notice that there's a performance issue, or you notice that someone is no longer responding to you or the rest of the team in the way that they normally have been, it becomes an easy part of the conversation when you pull them aside to say, do you know that there are additional resources here in Rackspace that will deal with whatever's happening in your life? May not be you specifically, but it may be someone else in your life, spouse, parent, other loved one. And it just really, really helps break through whatever that is as a way to get them to open up and return to their normal selves, if you will.
Mhm. Yeah, having those resources to share is great. Stephen, back to you for a second. You've maybe been in the group the longest, or at least that's how I figured out at this point. How has the group benefited you individually? And I think we can talk about, and we will get into this here. You will follow it up with how this group benefits Rackspace, because it is a huge benefit to us. But how has it helped you individually?
So it as much as anything, it's about having that safe space to be able to talk openly and create the environment within Rackspace that allows that to happen. So a prime example, Stonewall, the charity in the UK, actually did some research into this, and their studies found that not being able to bring your full self to work actually produces a 30% decrease in your productivity level. That is purely from being able to talk openly about who you are, which is obviously things that a lot of people just take for granted. Whereas very often in the LGBT community, you are having to be careful of that.
Interesting. Have you guys, anybody else experienced that as well? Maybe Kristen, let's go over to you for a second.
I'm sorry, lost my brain for a moment there.
That's correct.
So for me, it's been, as I said, with my children, helping them, and also being able to, as other people around me, being able to see, because I'm in Texas, right? So there are a lot of people who did not grow up around a lot of openly out people, and with all of the transitions that are being made, the progression that is happening with identification, pronouns, it's been really exciting to be able to help other people as they question, for instance, I didn't put it on this one because I was just trying to type in, but like on my profile for Zoom and for our internal chat, I have my pronouns on there, and every now and again somebody asks why, and I say because it's important that people know how to identify other people. I may be identified as she, her, and ea, but that doesn't mean that it should be assumed that I am. And so I get to easily, without having to get personal, I can help other people understand what others may be going through and why it's important to recognize people where they're at, as John said.
Excellent. And one of the things that we also had talked about before, Susan, excellent questions there. Anybody has anything for Rackspace has some programs. I don't know how externally facing they are, though. Is it certainly does benefit Rackspace as well, because as seen as a company who is inclusive, we've got somebody who leads that at Rackspace from a diversity and inclusion point of view. It does help us attract additional employees. And we are seen as a safe place to work. We are seen as an inclusive place, and that creates great value to organizations. Of course, I'll call it a secondary value. It's not the first and only reason why at Rackspace we did this. We did this for our employees so that you could have all the benefits of the things that we just heard. But the goal here then also is, the result is, it's a great place to work. We just keep getting more and more awards. In fact, there was a new one yesterday of a great place to work. Anybody remember where it is? It was posted on LinkedIn. I don't remember who gave it to us. We get a lot of them because this is a great place to work.
Yes, we were just named the most inspiring workplace in EMEA and North America. We won, I think, both of those awards.
This is an inspiring place to work, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I do love it so. Well, any closing thoughts from any of you? Because we are coming to the end of our chat time, but I want to give you the floor here just for a second. If anybody has anything else you want to share.
Just a quick update from me to respond directly there to Susan's question. One thing that I found very powerful in the past was a little thing that we used to do at Rolls-Royce. So I was actually the founder of Prism, equivalent of the RRG there within Rolls-Royce. Obviously a very traditionally white cisgendered male environment. What we did there was a little routine called In My Shoes. We got a manager or somebody like that to stand up in front of everyone, and they had to speak for 30 seconds about what they did at the weekend. They were not allowed to reveal the gender of their partner, any of their locations, or anything like that they went to. That really gets people understanding, because you see that manager struggling, and suddenly the penny drops with everyone. They fully understand the situation. It gets a lot of people on board.
What a great example. A great example. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. And I wish we had more time to visit, but thank you for being a part of Together with Pride and helping that be a great asset and resource to all of the Rackers we have here. Almost 7,000 of them now. It's amazing. All right, everyone. Oh, and by the way, at Rackspace, we are very efficient with our electricity. And if you don't move around in a conference room, the lights turn off. So Krishna is now doing the standard wave. If you're in there doing a conference call and you don't move enough, look at that. We're going to do something on sustainability next time, I think, and we'll do it from conference rooms with the lights on.
Hey, it made it through almost the whole show.
Almost the whole show. Well, Kristen, happy birthday. Great
Thank
wave.
you.
And everyone, thank you for being a part of the program today. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Now on to the rest of the program.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All righty, folks. Well, let's get all the PowerPoints happy again. We will start moving through. Did you know all my fancy graphics I do with PowerPoint? Are you interested in learning how to do that? No, I didn't think so. All right. Hey, anything you want to that we do here shows up in some fit or fashion over at rackspace.com/solve. It's speaking of safe places to go, that's a safe place to go because you're not going to get sold there. The only thing that you get sold is free information, guys. It's great content over there. I help to curate everything that shows up there. And it's top notch. Articles, our latest research is there. I've been teasing you with some of that over the past weeks as well. You can go download that for free. It's all for free. And of course, the Cloud Talk podcast. Love for you to subscribe. The audio from this will show up over there as well. All right. Well, let's move on to This Week in the Cloud. That's where I bring to you latest news stories and why they're important to you from a cloud context. All right. So first of all, we've got an article that says the multi-cloud multiverse, how the Pentagon can achieve AI success. Now that's a very fancy title. But ultimately, why I thought it was super interesting is the nut of it is in order for the Pentagon to achieve the things that it wants to achieve, it's got to use a multi-cloud environment. Take multiverse off there for a second. That's Hollywood. But what we're talking about here is multi-cloud. And the reason that this is important to you is that the world is increasingly multi-cloud. If your organization isn't considering moving applications into the right fit for purpose cloud and creating the right plumbing in between those clouds to operate as a cohesive environment. Welcome, David from Poland. Well, that's actually the way of the future. And it's great to read articles that say that actually the exact same thing. Multi-cloud is how the Pentagon can achieve, in this case, it's AI success. Also in the news today this is an interesting article, and it's of course entitled "Why Businesses Are Choosing the Cloud." Now, this conversation isn't necessarily brand new. People have all sorts of articles out there on why move to the cloud, but it had 7, 8, 9, 10 or so things that were in there, and I want to go through them just super quick because I think it's interesting. A couple of the points that are there. The first reason that they state to move to the cloud is actually a reason why people didn't move to the cloud in the early days, and that is security. The cloud brings with it a level of security that really you can't build in your own data center. I mean, you can't. You can challenge me on that, but I'm going to tell you can't. I mean, think about all of the hyperscale clouds have articles out now about how they're protecting their customers from distributed denial of service attacks that measure in the 2 to 5 megabits per second of attacks. And their networking fabric is just absorbing it. You can't build that and still be able to afford it. So security is a great reason to move to the cloud. Still got to do the cloud right. Still got to make sure you're blocking all the right things. but the cloud is more secure. Flexibility, great reason to move to the cloud. Company continuity was one of the reasons as well. Being able to have resilient applications. You should be creating your apps in the cloud through scripts, through code, which means it becomes just another batch of code to create that level of resiliency. Now, here's one that I would take a bit of issue with, and it says cost efficiency. I said it should say the potential for cost efficiency. Event-based architecture absolutely can be much more efficient, but you've got to manage that stuff well. You can't just lift and shift to the cloud and expect that it's going to be cheaper. It does take a FinOps approach to make things over time be efficient. Better collaboration, better performance, totally agree. Automatic updates should be one of the top reasons to go there, tied directly to security, as well as eco-friendly. And I totally agree with that piece as well. There's some studies out there. Amazon, let's just say Amazon in particular, they say that if you move from your traditional architecture into their version of serverless, that it will be 80 to 90% more eco-efficient than you running it in your own data center. And I agree with that. In fact, they've taken it to the point also that as each day's billing completes and they know what you've consumed, you can go into the billing interface and be able to see exactly what your carbon impact was for your applications running in AWS. Really cool feature. We've talked about it here before. All right, so let me find the right buttons to push. I don't know what I'm doing. Here we go. All right, so that's it for the news of the cloud. Let's go see what's new from our cloud providers, starting as always with AWS. Now their Amazon Document DB with MongoDB compatibility enables dynamic resizing of storage space. Now that's pretty great because you used to have to go in and manually configure that either at when you create it, instantiation, or over time as you make changes, you'd have to manually do that. Now based on parameters that you get to set, it will automatically change. So that's from AWS. Let's move over to Azure. Now in Azure, we have been public preview. Check this out. In public preview, you can now have an additional 5,000 storage accounts associated with a single subscription. That is up 20 times from the number it used to be. It used to be 250. Now, as we say in cloud, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. So I want to challenge you. Don't go create just because you can 5,000 storage accounts. This sounds like an administrative nightmare to keep up after and keep secure. Remember, security is important. But you can, if you have a good business case and use case for it and technical use case, you can do it. Cool. All right. Now, lastly, over from our friends at Google Cloud, you can now in their cloud build capabilities, you can now do regional support for default pools and build triggers that are now generally available. This is a feature that was in preview. We talked about it a couple of months ago. Now it is generally available, creating greater automation to your building of environments inside of that cloud. All right. Well, that's the cloud releases, which means I take you to the only time I'm going to sell to you today. And I'm not trying to sell you a product. I'm trying to sell you a great career. At Rackspace, we've got a ton of open positions here. And so the Rackspace job of the day today is an enterprise customer success manager. What does that mean? Who are we looking for? Well, as a customer success manager, you'll own the relationship between Rackspace and your own portfolio of customers. And their success is your success. I'm going to boil all those words down into it. You're there to help be the connection and the glue between all the things we can do at Rackspace and all of the business opportunities that they're trying to create through the use of technology. You're that single conduit. Amazing job. If you're a people person, if you're all about helping companies be successful, this is a great job for you. If you head over to rackspace.jobs, you can search on Customer Success Manager and you'll find that job there. You'll find a lot of other ones as well. If you're interested in working for a great company, well, come on over to Rackspace. Check us out. All right. Well, as always, you can find all of this information over at rackspace.com/solve. You'll find the podcast there. You'll find articles. You'll find everything. So go check that out. And last but absolutely not least is a huge thank you to our good friends at App Dynamics. Hey, we're bringing a special episode of Cloud Talk Live to you on this Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time, where I'm going to have I'm going to have Keith Lawrence from from AppDynamics there. He's the CTO as well as another individual, and we're going to actually go through some use cases on actually building out and using full stack observability inside of their portfolio of AppDynamics. I think it's an amazing tool. I'd love for you to come check that out and enjoy. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We took a short break from our summer road trip, and I think it was well worth it, talking about Racker resource groups and specifically together with Pride. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and we're back here on Thursday at 11 a.m. Central. Set a reminder, join the event, and I will see you then.